Now the next step is to have a look at the reference and see how we can bring that reference inside Houdini. Another thing to keep in mind is the units. So remember that Houdini works in meters by default. Now, along with the course, you should have received these references folder, which will have these images and an AI file with the runes pattern. Okay, these two images are what we're going to be bringing inside Houdini, and this is kind of what we're going for in terms of Thor's hammer model as an overall reference to support these more technical representations. Now, on this image, we have very useful information. We know that from bottom to top, all the way up here, it doesn't include that little piece there, we should have 62 centimeters. So we'll use that. That's going to be an important reference for us to make sure that we can position and scale these images properly inside Houdini. Now let's see how we can do that. One good idea will be to copy the references folder and actually put it inside our Houdini project folder. So I'm going to do just that. So I'm going to go copy the references, and on Thor's hammer, this is the folder for Houdini project, Control V, and here we have our references. That way, if we carry the project to some other place, some other computer, the reference will still go along with the project. Having done that, how can we actually load those images inside Houdini? I'll start, as I said before, clicking here on the network view, hitting tab, typing geo for geometry, hitting enter, and here we have our geometry container. I'm going to change the name of this to references, and let's dive inside. To dive inside, just double click on it and we're inside. As you can see here, we're on the object context inside this container, the references. Now here we're gonna create a node which actually allows us to convert 2D information into 3D information. And that's another great thing about Houdini, is that you have all these different contexts, but you can actually work interactively and connect them, connect data from one and the other. So that's pretty much what we're going to do. We're going to hit tab and type cop. Cop, if you remember, is another context. If we come here, similar to image, it's kind of the same thing. Here is where you do compositing operations, and a cop, it's basically just a network where you can do compositing. Now, the compositing is kind of built to work with images or 2D information most of the time. Now, inside here, we'll type file. I'll hit tab, type file, hit enter, and click. This creates the file, which is the most common node for importing external files inside Houdini. It'll automatically recognize the file type based on the extension and load it accordingly. Right now, it's loading the default images, which is this one. I'm typing Shift W here on this space to turn on and off the wireframe. So this is wireframe on, wireframe off. But we're gonna select our references first. So let's choose our file here. And the reference that I want is gonna be inside the references folder. And it's gonna be, let's select the first one, Thor hammer reference, accept. Not only it's gonna be loading the 2D image, it's automatically gonna be generating a 3D object, as you can see here. Now, the anti-aliasing features right now aren't really helping us that much with the image. If we zoom in, we can clearly see the image, okay, with great detail. I typed Shift W again to kind of turn off the wireframe of this. So this is looking great, but once we get a bit further away, it gets kind of fuzzy. It gets a lot of these artifacts. So let's find a way of getting a better image of our texture. Now this is the file that we wanted. Let's go up. And this is the actual node that's generating this object based on the image that we're loading inside. Okay, this is the compositing context, and we're loading a compositing context inside geometry. So it's actually converting it to a mesh, as you can see here, mesh. Now we're not going to be using a mesh. Let's choose quad with UVs. Basically, what this gives us is a plane which has the proper UVs and the proper proportions to receive that image and to have that image applied to it. Another very interesting node for us to be able to apply textures inside a 3D view and view them directly in the viewport is, I'm going to hit tab and type UV quick shade. The UV quick shade is usually used to check out your UVs and see how they're working. So I'm going to connect the output of the previous node to the input of the UV quick shade and turn this visible. Remember, we can only see one at a time, so I'm either looking at this one or at this one. Right now, it's not showing anything besides it's just showing us this texture applied to that plane. But let's load a different texture map. Let's load the same texture that we will use to generate that plane. And now this is what we see. And as you can see, the anti-aliasing is working much better. Okay, so this is what we want. Now, but remember, we actually have two of those references, as you can see here. So we have this one and this one. The image size is exactly the same. As you can see, the resolution here, exactly the same resolution. So we can use the same plane, just apply a different texture. Now, what I'm going to do is create a copy of this UV quick shade, holding Alt, click and drag, and I created a copy. And on the second one, I'm going to choose the other image, which is the reference side. Accept. And now we're looking at the other image. Great. The good thing about this is that these drawings are actually perfectly aligned, so it'll make our life very easy. Now we have this one and that one, but we don't really want to only be able to see them one at a time. We want to be able to see one and the other, but on a perpendicular fashion. Okay, so let's keep this one oriented this way, and let's see how we can rotate this one 90 degrees to be perpendicular to the other one. The way you rotate things inside the geometry context, if you just want to apply a transformation, as the name implies, you just create a transform. Let's tab, transform, and connect this one here. Now I want to have a look at this result, so I'm connecting the output of the quick shade to the input of the transform, and I want to see what comes out. These are the controllers. This is where I can numerically control the transformations, or I can go into the viewport, hit enter, and rotate. Right now we know how much we want to rotate exactly, so I'm going to just insert the number right here, minus 90 degrees. This is going to show on both sides, which is great. So now we have this plane and that plane. Notice that since I have this one selected, it's still showing kind of a representation, a light representation of the one that I have selected, but this is the one being displayed. I could also template, and it's going to be showing this same thing even if I don't have it selected. Remember, we can template other objects. But how can we look at both of them at the same time? We know we can only look at one node at a time. So the solution will be for us to actually merge these two outputs into one single node, and then we can just make look at the display of that single node. So let's create a merge. I'll hit tab, type merge, and merge takes as many inputs as you basically need. So I'll just connect this one, that one, make this visible, and there we have it. We can zoom in to check to confirm that they're perfectly aligned. As you can see, pretty much perfectly aligned, and that's going to be really useful.